Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to show you how to build your dream blog layout. We're going to design a custom single and archive post pages using the Nexter theme without knowing any coding. We're going to showcase Nexter's powerful yet easy to use theme builder for blog specific pages. So why would you want to do this? Well, it's a bit easier to start from scratch for some people, but at the same time, some themes are quite restrictive when it comes to where you should put your featured images, your headers, your page titles, and your body, and how it's all laid out. So with Nexter, it's very versatile, and you don't need to know any coding. Alright, first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and make our first blog post. So there's a couple ways to do this, and on the top here, we have post, a new, and then post. Alternatively, we can go over on the sidebar over here in our dashboard and click on Add Post. Now, WordPress started off as a blogging website, but that doesn't mean that we are limited to using blogs as just blog posts. We can use them in a variety of ways, and the limit is your imagination. So let's title this one Blog Post Prime, right, for the first one. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of the basic blocks that you might want to use in your blog. So here we have our page title or our post title. And for the beginners out there, let's go ahead and work our way from right to left and tour this area that is called the WordPress block editor or the Gutenberg block editor. Okay, so on the top right here, we have these three dots. These are just preferences, options. If you want to explore these, you go on your own. And this is the publish button. It's going to go ahead and save our blog post here. This is the Nexter customizer. These are just some presets that come with Nexter, and you can configure those. Here's the settings button or the right-hand sidebar button. And this is information for your post. This is some sidebar settings that we can enable or disable here. You can see here we can delete it, trash it from here, and we can add categories from here, right? And we can either tick this on, or we can call this blog, okay? And that's going to give us a new category, right? And I was just hitting the enter key. After entering each of those, we can add our featured image over here, and let's go ahead and add our featured image, and let's go ahead and make it something a bit interesting, a Cocker Spaniel. Okay, there is our featured image, and we can add an excerpt to this, but let's just leave that blank for now. And for block, we're going to see how this works in a bit. Now we have our view here, and we can change the view from desktop, tablet, and or mobile. Okay, so if you want to test out how it's going to look like on your mobile device. And we can also view the post. So this is how it's going to look like by default on Nexter. And keep in mind that all of these fonts and typography is just because we had it set in a different video. But this is how the layout's going to look like. So you can see we have our title here, our meta, which is our date. And then we have the author here. We have our comment section over here. And it looks pretty dull. So let's go ahead and start populating this. We have a copy paste button over here, well, a paste button over here. We have our list view and document outline. Okay, these are very useful for moving the blocks around. Our undo and redo buttons, and last but not least, the block inserter itself. Now, if we click on this, you can see there are many blocks. And blocks, if you want to think about it, are just elements of a site. So, for instance, if I typed in here header. Okay, and there are a couple to choose from. So you can see this one has a black icon. Let's drag and drop that. And this one has a blue icon with an H on it. The one with the black icon is a default WordPress one. As you can see down here, all of these ones in black are default WordPress ones. And this one with the blue is a Nexter block, and it's top of list for us. Okay, so we can just click on those or drag and drop them. And as you can see here, we can drag them here with these 6 dots over here, or move them down one according to the other. And you can see over here in the list view, we can also move them right, to organize them, and they can have parents and childs, especially if it's in a container. And why would you want to use an external or a third-party block library such as Nextr? Well, if we click on to the WordPress one, you can see we have some options here. We can change the text color, we can change the background color, we can change the typography size, and there's some other options for this, some attributes in advanced. But if we were to select the Nextr one, you can see we get so much more control and options for this block. Okay, so let's go over the few basic ones that you might want to use in your blog post. So we can add a container, and this can form the basis of many things in our blog. You don't have to use this, but it keeps things a bit more organized, and you can see that we can have a layout over here. Or you can just go ahead and go straight into headings. And as you can see here, we have some default text. This is our... Okay, and you can see we have title tags here. And if we went over here to outline, we'll have our structure over here. Okay, and we can, as you can see, between H1 through 6 to paragraph, span, and div, each one of them have different fonts and colors, and we'll show you how to set those up later. So we'll keep this at heading 1, and we can change the alignment. And under style, we can change the color manually, independent of our presets. Let me make black. We can make the font a different color, font a different shape. You can change the font size as well. And you can see it's not updating right away. So let's go ahead and click on Save real quick, because sometimes here on the back end when we edit it, it doesn't reflect right away. So let's reload this, and it should be different once we load back in. Oh, and it isn't. Let's go ahead and change the typography for this. Okay, and if that doesn't work, it's probably something to do with one of these. Okay, so H1 is going to be stuck to that, but H2, 3, 4, 5, they're all going to be what we set it as. Okay, and that's going to be all right. And we'll take a look at how to edit H1 later on. And let's go ahead and take a look at our other blocks, such as paragraph. Okay, drag and drop that over here. And let's design it from scratch. And you can see it comes with a title by default, and we can change the heading for that, right? The heading tag for that, or we can just disable it altogether. And here we have our paragraph. Now, you don't need to type it in here. You can just click over here and then edit it as if it were Google Docs or Microsoft Word, or just copy paste your text over here. Now, you can see that we can align it and change the things over here. We can change columns. We can add a drop cap, which is the big letter over there. And we can also change the style. So the typography, you can change it to be independent of the default. So you can make it Helvetica. Change the font size. As you can see, we can make everything all caps. We can make things all small letters. And we can change the height and the line height. And then we can change the letter spacing. And let's undo those. Right, let's make the font size a bit smaller, and let's make it Arial. Okay, let's save and then reload this. Oops, okay, that didn't save. Let's go ahead, Helvetica. Okay, there you go. And we can also change the text color over here if you wanted to, and we can change the drop cap size, right, the space, and the how it's laid out. And we can also change the spacing, background color, and border, and so on and so forth. We're going through these basic blocks right now, and you can, if you wanted, we can add an image. Okay, just drag and drop that over here, and let's upload an image. And you can upload an image from your computer by clicking Upload Files and clicking Select Files, or dragging and dropping from whatever folder you're taking them from, or you could have uploaded them previously to your media library. Let's go ahead and click on this. Well, I think the shrimp one would be better. Okay, and the image will end up over here once it's done loading. And we can also change the alignment of where the image is, but as you can see, it's not moving too much because it was full-sized a while ago. And we can change the float alignment. We can change the image size here to make it a bit smaller, large, right? Maximum, keep it on medium. You can add a caption to it. You can also add a border to this if we wanted. You can see there's a faint border around it. Boxes, we can also add filters if you needed that. You can add spacing, background, border, hard position settings, so on and so forth. Next, we might want to put a list, right? Stylish list over here. And we can select these. Right, and you can select this. Or we can go over here to item 0 and then configure it from here, right? We can make it a horizontal or vertical list, and we can also drag and drop our options over here. And we can individually change the icons from here, right? Or actually, do they have a bread icon? Oh yeah, they do. There you go. And you can also add a tooltip, a hint onto it. And we can also add a tooltip. Right? Or there you go. You can also change the typography and the color of these. And we have a whole video on all of these individual blocks. And this is just going through ones that you might want to use, and if you might be considering using Nextr as your Coke. And add nope. Okay, that's fine. And we can change the color of these, right? List, we can change the alignment as well. We can change the icon size, change the icon color to green, okay? And let's go, these are some of the basic blocks that you might want to use on your blog post. So we have our heading over here, our paragraph, our image, and the list. And you can use other blocks to furnish your blog post, but let's keep it simple as it is. Okay, so we've already seen how to add a category and tag. We also have added our image over here. So let's go ahead and save this, and our featured image, and let's save this, and let's take a look at how it looks like on our live site. And you can see we have our image over here. Let's scroll down. We have our page title, our meta over here, and this is how it looks like. So basically, however we had it on our editor over here, it's going to look basically the same, right? Except for a few things. We have our category, well, our tags over here, and we have our comment section over here. So what if we wanted to hide certain things from our blog post? Okay. All right. First and foremost, let's go ahead and return back to our dashboard over here, and let's enter the WordPress, the Nextr theme builder, and let's build ourselves a single blog template. And you're going to see that we can manually arrange where we want the featured image to be, where we want our meta to be. Let's say we wanted this to be at the bottom over here by the comment section. We wanted our tags to be beside that. We wanted our featured image to be in the middle or wherever. So let's go ahead and add a new template. Okay, let's call it singular, and let's call this blog 1 template. And we're going to include this on all posts, right? And let's click on create. Okay. And let's go ahead and add some blocks over here. And keep in mind, this is a template, and it's not necessarily individual blog posts. So whatever we're going to put on here, well, so far is going to reflect on every single blog post we make. So this is going to be a template, and we're going to put placeholder blocks. So if you search post on here, you can see post content, post meta info, post title, post comments. What else did we put? Here we have post comments, post. Let's go ahead and add the post image. Okay, let's click on publish. Okay, and this is the default layout. You can see where all of the things go. Let's reload this, and you can see that things are all jumbled up. And in fact, some of the things aren't even reflected on here. So, oops. Full content. Let's save this, reload this, and see what happens. Okay, there you go. We have our title over here. We have our body over here. So whatever is our post content is whatever we had put in our post block Gutenberg editor. So if I wanted to edit the actual content of this, so the text over here, I'd have to click on edit post. But if I wanted to edit where I put the featured image, right? As you remember, this one was manually added as an image block, and this one was assigned as the featured image on the right-hand sidebar over here. So, and you can see earlier that this post meta was over on the top. So here, okay, let's delete this, and let's go ahead and rearrange everything. So we want the post title. In fact, we probably don't want our post title, but let's put it over at the bottom over here. Our post info is going to be over here. Now let's save that and see how this looks like. Okay, and that looks much better now. And then for this one, we want to align this to the middle. You can see it aligns on its own. And for the post content, okay, let's take a look at our options here. We can have it a single page or an archive page, right? But we want to display it as our single page. We want our alignment to be on default. We want our style. We can change our typography over here, right? Our padding and our color. There aren't too many options over here. It's mainly just assigning what we're showing and what we're getting, right? Because everything over here, you can see we couldn't get the content in our back end. Please visit the front end, because this is just a placeholder. Okay. For the post title, we can change the title tag to be something else. Okay, so let's save this. Okay, and this is whatever we named our page as. It's going to be independent from whatever heading we put. All right, and for style, we can change the typography for this. Okay, same way. All right. And for our meta over here, we can rearrange what we want. So I can put this over here. We can change the layout as well, right? Here's our meta field. We can put a dynamic field over here, but let's go ahead and close that up. We can change the alignment of this. We can change the post reading time, category, date, right? Comments, and put this in the front. We can change the separator between. We can change the separator size, separator color. We can change the typography, how all of these look like. We can change the meta color to make it green. Okay, we can change the label typography to something else. Or, oops. Stop. Typography to probably Times New Roman. There you go. Change the label color. And then for post date, we can enable or disable that. Okay. For category, we can enable or disable that. we can change what the prefix text is, right? We can change how many terms, we can change the tags over here, change the color, category style, we can disable how many comments there are. Post reading time, we can show how long it's going to take to read. Okay, inner content for the padding, and the box color if we added a box to that. Let's go ahead and click on save and see how this looks like so far. Okay. And you can see it changed up. Okay. And then for the comments area, as you can see, we have our layout here. We can change all of these, right? And you know what? We'll just keep this on here because we kind of want to see how everything looks like once we edit it. So let's go ahead and save, right? And we now have our blog, single blog template. Now, every single blog post that you're going to make over here, once you save it and you view it, it's going to end up looking like this instead of the default one. Okay. And because, let's go here, single. And because we've made one here, right, and you can see this is a singular blog template, we can go ahead and disable this. If we wanted to have a different layout, let's say we wanted all of the images and blog post title to be on the top, we can have a separate one and disable this or enable it, right? So I'll disable this real quick, and it's going to revert back to the default one, and it doesn't look too good, right? Acceptable, I guess, but not too good. So let's go ahead and return back to the one we just made, and it looks so much better, right? So much more legible, so much more easier to use. Now let's go ahead and make our archive template layout. So again, we're going to create a new template. We're going to go to Archives, 1, and let's click on Next, include on all archives. And you know what? Let's make a default posts archive. Let's click on Create. Okay, and it should be blank. And let's go ahead and put here post listing. Okay, and then there are a few different styles to choose from. The others are Pro, and then this one we can make a custom template for this. But let's go ahead and stick with this. We can make an archive page or a single page, right? Posts or pages, like a list, right? If we wanted to make it for that, but we only have this one post, we can change the grid layout, and so far we only have one blog post. We can also show or hide the meta over here. We can change the style, we can change the date, we can show where the author is, right? For query, we can search which category, right? So this is like a filter, basically. Columns manager, again, filters again for categories, but is more specific. And the query one, you'll probably get by if you just have a simple site. So we can also change the typography over here. Arial, bigger, right, for the title. We can also change the colors and everything, content, background, featured image, right? And you can see. So let's go ahead and click on Publish. And let's view this template on our live site. And if I clicked on this, it's going to take us to Blog Post Prime. Okay, so if we went to our main site over here, in a different video, we've made our homepage here. We've made headings in a different video. And how are we going to access our blog posts, and how are we going to access our archive? So let's go ahead and either click on Customize over here while we're on our live site, or let's head over to our dashboard. Okay, and we're going to go over under Appearance and click on Customize. And there's a couple ways we can do this. So we can either, again, go to Customize, and what we're going to enter into is called the WordPress Customizer. And you'll find some options here, such as general settings, right? Like container size, container width. We can enable or disable the headers and footers from here. Okay, we can set some colors, some typography options, but for the homepage settings, what we're kind of interested in right now, is we can select between a static page, which is our default homepage, or our About Us page as our default homepage, or we can select our latest posts, and that will be our homepage. Okay, so if I clicked on Publish over here, and I reloaded our site, whatever is our default blog archive, which is what we just made a couple moments ago, is what is going to be our homepage. But obviously we don't want to have just these blog items to be our homepage, this archive to be our homepage. We probably want to have our own homepage. Let's click on Save, reload this, and that looks a bit better. So probably the better thing to do is to go back to our dashboard, go down to our theme builder where we built our header and footer, right? And we've discussed this in our previous video. And let's go ahead and click on Edit. And in the previous video, you'll find out how to make this header. And we're going to go ahead and add some options to our navigation over here, right? So we have our navigation menu. We're going to add a menu item. We're going to call it Blog Archive. And we're going to add a link here, blog. Let's go ahead and use probably this one, since we want to use this as just a blog. Right? And it doesn't have to be just the default blog archive. We just set the tag for this to be blog archive. Let's go ahead and put an icon to this. Okay, let's go ahead and click on Save and take a look at how this looks like. Okay, now from anywhere on our site, right, if you go to our About Us page, we can access our blog archive. Okay, and this is going to be the first one on here, and we can take a look at how it looks like. Okay, so we've discussed how to make a blog post to begin with. We've discussed how to make a single layout to arrange the parts of our blog. We've also discussed how to make an archive layout, as well as how to display or how to even reach our blog archives and blogs to begin with. Now let's take a look at some other options to further customize how everything looks like. So let's close this and let's go back to the customizer. So let's go home and it should reload now. Blog archive. And let's click on this post. Okay. We have some blog options over here, right? So for single posts, we can enable or disable the post title altogether. But since this is independent of, okay, let's go with this. Since this is independent of our theme builder, nothing is going to happen. Okay, let's click on Publish and save all of that, right? And then reload this. And technically, all of this should be gone. So what gives? What's happening? Again, to reinforce the beauty and versatility of the Nextr theme builder, let's go back there to our extension and back to the theme builder. If we were to disable our blog 1 template, which is what we made for our singular, that's where every single thing will disappear. Okay? And if I were to enable this one and publish it and reload this, you can see that we get our title on here. So this part of the customizer is a bit useful if you don't want to deal with the custom blog archive, blog template, single and archive blog templates. We would highly recommend that you don't mess with this part anymore and just go straight into creating a singular and archive blog template just because it gives you so much more control, and it's a bit simpler once you get the hang of it. And with the blocks over here, you might as well just omit things, and that way you can keep your layouts a bit more organized, rather than other themes where this is all you're going to get and you'll never be able to actually edit where all of this goes. So this is useful if you don't want to mess with a theme builder, but we highly recommend that you use it. So before we end this, let's take a look at something that's probably going to be very useful. So let's go and create a new post. And we're going to go ahead and lay out a few things over here. So this is going to be typography test. And let's go ahead and add a bunch of headers over here. Heading, see, let's make 6 of them. Control-Shift-D. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's go ahead and add a paragraph over here. Okay, so these ones, let's go ahead and add title tags to all of these, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then for this one, let's go ahead and disable the title. Okay, and that's going to be fine for sure. Okay, and let's make our drop cap 1. Edit it. Oh wait, no, this should be paragraph. Okay, and we'll leave that as is. And let's go ahead and click on publish. Right, and as you can see, we have our different fonts, font colors, and sizes depending on each one of these headings with which they have their individual tags. So let's go ahead and view this on the live site. And there you go. There's the spacing, there's everything we have over there. And you can see we have our layout over here, right? So we can just enter, let's go back to our blog archive, and you can see that our blog will now be populated with a few, let's go ahead and add a tag to this. My bad. Blog, save. And then let's return to the blog archive. And you can see we now have a link to our typography test over here. And now we can go under typography, and for body, which is going to be paragraph, we can change this to Helvetica, and we can change the font size. We can change if it's going to be uppercase. We'll leave it on default, so you can see we have this N and E capitalized, this R as well at the start of each sentence. We can change the font size. For desktop, you kind of want to go with 20 pixels. It really depends what you're going with. You can also change the line height, the font weight as well. And you can see it's going to start to change over here. And let's go over to heading 1. Let's change each one of these. Okay, we can change the font size. Same with this. We can make this Times New Roman. Aliarta stencil. Let's make this a bit smaller. Okay. And we'll keep these as default. And let's go back over here, and under styling colors, let's say we wanted our text color to be black. We can keep that as that. If we want to change our links, I don't think we have any links over here, so we'll keep that as is. And then for our headings, we can change the colors over here. Right, so if I wanted this to be black, if I wanted this to be dark blue, for this one I can make it like a bit yellow. This one I can make it orange. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on publish, and let's reload our post over here, and you can see it changed. And you can see even for these, they kind of changed a bit just because of the spacing. And you can see that even in our blog archive, the fonts have changed by default and the colors as well. And even on our other post over here, some things have changed that we have not edited manually. Okay? So there you have it. We've talked again about making a single post, creating a single layout, an archive layout, and editing some of the customizer global options over here in order to get what you need just right. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, as it really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. Show this kind of video to other nerds like us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey, if you want to know where to get the blocks that we used in this video to make forms real simple, real easy, check out the link in the description. It'll take you to the website of Nexter, where you can get the Nexter blocks yourself. Now, if you check out the pricing, they have 3 different levels: starter, professional, and studio. We recommend getting the studio one because it's a one-time payment. It's lifetime. You get all the blocks. You don't have to worry about not having the right blocks to get what you need done. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey, if you found this video helpful, be sure to check out one of our other videos, or go ahead and check out our channel and subscribe to see more content like this.